Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another video. My name is Tom. Thanks for joining me here today. Today, we're taking Kubo out for a spin, but first, we're gonna get the weed whacker out. We're gonna set it up. We're gonna clean it off and reattach all the parts and pieces that are currently missing on it. And then we're gonna clear cut all the stuff that the mower can't get. And then we will take Kubo out. So Kubo's currently warming up just to get a heat cycle in, and then once it's hot, we'll turn it off. We'll get the weed whacker out, and we'll go around the house, and we'll take anything out that can't be taken out by the mower. Stuff like this. So I can't drive underneath this tree because of the rollover protection system. So I got all of this all around. There's Dutch's. All the edging around the edges of the house. This wooden barrier here, as well as the front steps around that deck in the back, and whatever else we can find. So let's do this. All right, so here we are with the Echo SRM 266. This is a relatively inexpensive weed whacker, or trimmer, whatever you want to call it, because I got this to manage the other house, and you guys might recall that the other house had a really tiny yard, and it didn't make sense for us to buy something that was horrendously expensive for 5 minutes of trimming. So this one actually did a good job. The only thing that I was kind of disappointed in was this fixture in the front here. I couldn't keep a string in it for the life of it. In fact, there's some right there, but this string is so thin, which is exactly why I got this thicker string. I don't know if you can tell on the camera, but it's probably twice the thickness. So, and also the string is Best Garden brand, so it's 0.095 inches or 2.4 millimeters thick. So we're gonna take this apart, which is relatively easy. There's two little pressure fittings here. You press them in, and then they're spring tensioned, and then this whole thing comes out actually. So let's see if I can turn this thing upside down. Yeah, this little trimmer string was a bad idea. Again, when you're more worried about cost effectiveness and the whole economics part of it, you kind of just let it go and you don't worry about it. So I'm gonna get this thing apart because I feel like there's some twists, and maybe I'll just cut it all out and get a screwdriver and pick this out, but I'll get back to you once this is all out. Okay, so I got the old string out. This was the string that in essence came with this trimmer, because I bought it at the same time, same place. So very thin. I have no idea what its dimensions are, but this doesn't last at all when you're dealing with really thick weeds and whatever. Also, there might be potential for some rocks, some wood, stuff like that. So you really have to kind of keep your eye open on that. Also, while I'm at it, I got this 50-to-1 mix, fuel and oil, 2-cycle mix. This is basically for leaf blowers, chainsaws, and trimmers. And essentially it's fuel and oil in one mixture, because these types of devices don't have oil tanks on them. But because they are internal combustion engines, they still need lubrication. So this was just the house brand True Fuel. They had other ones that were significantly more expensive, but you know, I quickly grabbed the phone, looked them up, and they all seem to be about the same in terms of formulation and whatnot. Of course, there's the Prop 65 warnings for California. In case you didn't know, this stuff may cause cancer. So, oh, by the way, if you get this stuff, make sure that you get the ethanol-free stuff, because, yeah, you don't want ethanol in this running through this kind of engine. So, all right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a big piece of this 0.095 inch. Did I say that wrong the first time? I don't know. Go back and check it out. Because if I did, it's 0.095 inches. If this was, you know, 0.95, it'd be almost an inch thick. All right, so let's see. Let's take, I don't know, maybe a yard's worth. And, oh, it would have helped if I would have brought my knife out here. But since I didn't, I'm going to see if I can break it. You know, plastic and bends tends to break after a while. Nope, this isn't given. This might be actually the good stuff that I was looking for. So give me just a moment. I'll be right back. Ta-da! All right. So I took off about 3 feet, maybe a little more. So inside here, which I know you probably can't see because it's dark as can be, but there's kind of a trimmer line trap that holds the line in, and essentially it goes all the way through the head. So it goes through and comes out the other side. And I cut off about, I don't know, 4 feet of this stuff, so, you know, I would have it for a while. And then essentially what you do is, well, what you really want to do, and I'm going to do this again because I just kind of screwed it up, is you want to line up that center hole with the outside holes of the rotating assembly, because you want to be sure that your trimmer line is coming out the right side. So let me make sure that this side's lined up, because it clearly isn't, and there it goes. So I got it in one side, out the other. And then what you can do is you put this retaining cap back on, essentially like so. It just pops on, and you have to give it the beans because it's got that spring that keeps it wound tight. And then what you can do is you can wind this thing up. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to wind it up first before I put this cap on, because I need to know which way to wind this. And this actually tells you, it has little arrows drawn on it. So you wind it this way. And you just spin it around a few times. And what that'll do is that'll actually wind itself up. I don't know if you guys can see it in there. Let me bring you a little closer here. I got you on Mr. Tripod again today. He's doing a good job, so we'll keep him. We'll keep him around. So obviously I didn't balance it out right, because there's about, I don't know, 10 inches here and about 3 inches here. So, but that's fine, because I'm not gonna worry about that. That little blade that I showed you a minute ago is gonna trim this off, and it'll be fine. Okay, so let's make sure that it's nicely put in, and that's about it. And then what you have to do is you have to give it the juice. Let's see if I can do this without causing an oil spill. You know, I wouldn't want to have to relive the Exxon Valdez in my garage, even though this technically isn't oil, and I'm not an oil tanker. All right, so we got this little gas cap here. Can you guys see that okay? Let me move you over. Let's put you down a little bit. There you go. So it's got a little tiny tank down here right underneath the starter assembly, and you just pop this thing open. It's got a safety cap on it so kids don't go in there and guzzle it, which is good, because I have one of those kids that would probably enjoy himself to gasoline heaven. And you just put a little bit of this in. You don't need a lot per se, unless you have like hedges to trim and stuff, because this stuff will go a long way. And then actually you don't have to pour it back. That's kind of my rule. I'd rather fill this up a few times than fill this up all the way and then have to figure out how to get stuff out of here into here without causing a spill. Make sure this is tight. There's a choke here, so you would put it on cold start, and then once it's running, you would flip this down to run. It has a trigger assembly here with a safety, so your hand has to be on this for it to run, and then this is your speed control, your throttle. But then you also have the switch. It's the run stop switch. So when you're using it, you're holding it with one hand here. This is on here, trigger, and then you could stop it and then turn it off, you know, as you go. So I like this guy. You know, he did a good job in California, and let me flip you back over on me here. He did a good job in California, but like I said, I think this was just too thin. I don't know, you know, I'm not a professional, you know, I'm not a landscape guy, but I'm of the belief that this is just way too thin. You know, you'd use this in grass and it would just break off, and you'd be constantly, you know, feeding more and more line, and you're like, oh my God, I just burned $10 worth of line just by doing 6 feet of grass. So, yeah, we'll see. I'll keep this just because I have it, and I don't want to necessarily waste it, but we'll see. For now, I filled this up. It's ready to go. But I have to go get Eddie from school, so we're going to continue this in about 45 minutes, so stick around. We're back from getting Eddie from school. He's inside resting, but I'm going to take this, start it up, and see what we can do. I know one of the ropes is a little bit longer. One of the sides of the string there is longer than the other side, so this little knife here is going to trim it down to size. So let's see what we got here. It's actually pretty well balanced if you hold it like this. So let's get the choke on. Choke's already on. See if we can prime it. There we go. We got fuel in the bubble. Let's see what happens. Turns out it just needed some help. Let's put it on cold start. No, let's put it on run because it's not cold. Let's see if this will do it. All right, let's see what we can do. All right, so that seems to have worked out a lot better than I thought it would have. That thicker string is actually much more durable than the other one, the blue one. So I'm gonna keep this one, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Now I just have to contend with some back pain because, as you can imagine, this thing's going to contort me in every single direction that it can in order to get the right trim. But let's get the camera set up so you guys can see just a quick time lapse of this. I'm probably just going to do a rough cut, nothing really close and detailed. I'm definitely going to do the steps in the front, and I'm probably going to do the back side here where the deck is. And that'll be it. The rest of it I'm going to do with Kubo, whatever I can do, because the rains are coming. There has been a pretty beefy storm brewing in the Midwest that's going to cause some tornadoes and supercells to release some water on us here. Anyway, it is also horrendously noisy with the fact that the utility workers over there are doing God knows what. I think they're cutting concrete, so I can't win with shots during the day around the house, especially when those guys are working. And ironically, on Fridays they typically don't work, so I don't know what's going on over there because there's a lot of people over there on a Friday. So anyway, back to this. I'm going to take you guys up front, do the front, and then we'll work our way towards the back. I am going to take the microphone off because I don't want it to get damaged. So enjoy the time lapse. Here it goes. You know, don't let anybody fool you. That's a lot of work. In fact, I'm in a lot of pain right now. my lower back is just spasming and stuff like that. It's really tough. You know, it's nobody's fault except for my own, so I'm gonna own it like I typically do. But here's one thing that I will say, and it's of highest respect to anybody that does landscaping and manual labor in general, and all these other things that allow people like myself ultimately, you know, to take for granted, because that's typically how it works. You know, somebody you know, needs their grass cut, okay, hire a gardener. You know, okay, somebody needs to move some boxes, well, hire a mover or a handyman or something to help you out. You know, you don't really understand what it takes to work yourself to death until you actually do it. I'm not going to say that I worked myself to death just now. I mean, this was, what, 25 minutes with, what, 4 breaks? And then the 2 times I forgot to move the camera, which ultimately made the time lapse kind of, you know, half-baked. But all that said, I have a much higher respect towards individuals who have made it their life's work to do what I just did all day long, you know. But I'm sure there's others that, you know, take a lot of pride in their work, and they do the best job that they can, and they give the people value for their money. If you find yourself one of those people, you know, show them a little bit of appreciation, you know. And I'm not talking about giving them a tip or you know, shaking their hands or whatnot, but really telling them, you know, I can't thank you enough for everything you've done for me. I could never do the kind of work that you do, and it really means a lot to me that you come back, you know, week after week and you help me out. That really makes a big difference in somebody's life. And sometimes, you know, when you're working a thankless job, you will get people that snap at you, and you will get people that are always miserable and bummed out or whatever, but it is their livelihood. So, you know, it's not an excuse, but rather just I guess it's a means to an end for them, and we just have to, you know, leave it at that. But anyway, my wife's home. You guys can see she just pulled in, so I'm gonna say hi to her, and I'm gonna get Kubo out and do at least one pass on this yard and try to get it trimmed down before the rain starts. So stick around. All right, everybody. It's been quite a few hours since I finished with the yard. In fact, Kubo has cooled off nicely. That I'm going to grab the hose and clean him off a little bit, just so you know, the pollen and mud and stuff that's kind of crusted up on him, on the mower deck and whatnot, won't get stuck permanently. Also, I'd like to think that the weed whacker did a pretty decent job. There's still string hanging out the end, which means that string actually held up pretty good against you know, rocks and bricks and trees and whatever, and it actually made a pretty decent impact on some of the longer grass that was, you know, pushing 20-25 inches or so. So I actually like that a lot, and it helped greatly. I have to get, somehow or another, I have to get my back in line, because I have no idea why my back is so picky at the moment. I went through a phase a few years back. You know, at my heaviest, I weighed about 264, or I'm sorry, 264 is what I wanted to weigh. I weighed about 364 at my heaviest, and I know that I'm pushing that upper limit. You know, I went to the doctor yesterday, and I stepped on the scale, and I saw what it said. Right now, I'm at 360. So basically, I undid a year's worth of change in a matter of 2 years, which isn't good. But that's a project that I'm going to tackle pretty much starting this week. I'm going to start using the Smith machine that's here in my garage now that it's a little bit warmer and it's not freezing to death out here. I can, you know, open a garage door and just have a decent session. Also, just a question for you guys, maybe if any of you are bicyclists or you know somebody who's a bicyclist. I am looking for a decent bicycle trainer. You know, one of those things where you can put a road bike on it, you can strap it in and essentially ride your bike like in your office or whatever. In fact, that's where I want to do it, upstairs in the office. I want to find something that's decent, even if it's a little bit more money, if it's worth it and it comes with a recommendation, I'll consider it. Otherwise, I would have to start a research process and try to figure out what's what. You know, obviously, you don't want to go cheap and you don't want to break the bank, but somewhere in the middle. So if you guys know of anybody who rides bikes and perhaps trains in the wintertime or whatever on a decent bicycle trainer, go down in the comments and let me know, and I'll be forever thankful, and I'll be happy that you guys help me out. Okay, so that's that. Let's clean this up before it gets too dark. It's already dark as can be, although I think that's my MO lately is, hey, let's shoot a video in the pitch black of darkness. So let me go over here, grab the hose real quick. This was growing out of my air conditioner. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's about a 4-foot weed. Nice. All right, let's see what we got here. Oh, cleaning the wrong thing. But I guess the Bolty UV can use some cleaning as well. All right, so if you have one of these, you know, I guess any riding mower, make sure that engine is cool to the touch before you spray water on it, because if you don't, you can crack a block. So let's see. You know what, the heads are still a little bit too hot for me, so I am just gonna hose off the outside with a shower just to get all the pollen and stuff off. Oh, by the way, you guys will be happy to know that as far as fuel capacity goes with the diesel on this mower, I went through a can of diesel in roughly about 8.5 hours worth of use. So for those who don't know, mileage on mowers is tracked by hours. So 8 hours is quite a bit of time for one single tank. And it did pretty well. In fact, there was still a lot left, about, I'd say, a third. But the problem with it was the way the tank is oriented. If you're dealing with some of these hills, like, and you're on a slope, then the fuel will slosh around, and at some points the low fuel light will come on. So I filled it up so that way I wouldn't have a problem. And right now it's at full because it takes a few times before, you know, the fuel level drops. So yeah, thought I'd share that. Let's see, let's make sure that nothing's in here. What's great about this this tractor is that everywhere it has drainage holes, so you don't have to worry about water just, you know, staying put. It's really good about draining off all the, you know, the pollen and whatever you make wet. Like the cup holder has 2 holes. This little phone holder on the side here has a big slot on the bottom, and it's really nice how this thing is put together. I think this was a really good investment, you know, for us. I don't think that I could have ever mowed all of this with a lawnmower, just a normal like push mower. I mean, you can see how hard it is for me to mow with the weed whacker, to mow down the weeds. I just can't imagine, you know. And I mean, there's obviously the choice of hiring somebody to do it and making sure that your yard's taken care of, but you know, I'm not really a fan of spending that kind of money, because it was quite a bit of money last year that we spent on, you know, gardeners to come out a couple of times a month to take care of this yard. It's a pretty big yard. The back here is 2/100ths shy of an acre, so it's 0.98 acre, which is quite a bit, and it's definitely quite a bit, you know, quite a bit more than what we had in California. So, oh yeah, this was definitely a much needed bath here, because there's stuff that is stuck from previous rainstorms in here, and they tell you to make sure that you get all the big stuff out, because if you don't, then this thing will just get hot and things will wear prematurely. You know, you'll have a lot of stuff that's just going either bad or failing or whatever. So, but that's it. It's pretty good. You can get some of these grassed out of this little edge tray, this lip. I'm not worried about the blades themselves, because once you spin them up, they'll you know, they'll start throwing grass and other stuff against the inside of the deck that'll clear it off pretty good. I'm not worried about that, but the outside of it, you should take care of it. Oh yeah, that's about it. Kubo's orange again. Before he was starting to turn brown. So now, ironically, this this Echo weed whacker is also orange, so it's in the family. So let's clean this off. I don't think I've ever cleaned this weed whacker. When we brought it here, it had grass from LA all over it. I think all they did was shrink wrap it, and they shrink wrapped all the grass to it. Yeah, some of this stuff is really thick and caked on, so it's been there for a while. But I don't know if you could see that coming out. But I also have to see if this has a grease fitting on it. Oh, grease fitting. That reminds me that I think it's about time that we do a walkthrough with all the grease fittings on this, on the Kubota. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see how we do that. I'm pretty sure that the manual's going to have, you know, illustrations and whatnot. Oh, that's like a whole new weed whacker, isn't it? So we'll let this dry. Let me put this in the, let me lay this here on the floor so it can dry. Dogs are barking everywhere. So I must say that I'm pretty exhausted. Today was a very long day, but you know what? It was worth it because you got to keep up with it. If you let it go for even 1 week, then instead of cutting grass that's 6 to 8 inches long, you're cutting grass that's 20 inches long. And then you got problems because as you're cutting it, even with this, it'll bunch up and it'll just throw like balls of grass. So instead of having a nice spray of clippings, you have these juicy meatballs of grass that just kind of pop out the side, and then you have to either pick them up or do something to make your yard look nice. But yeah, I'm actually gonna, I know it's wet, but I'm gonna sit on the tire for a second because the seat's really wet. Oh. So to do the grass, to do about an acre of mowing. Now there's 2 speed settings on this. There's a turtle and there's a rabbit. Today I tried my share with the turtle because the grass was a little bit longer, and it was really tough. It was really obnoxious, you know, going high speed over it. Because if you have a lot of grass, one thing about this deck, the deck is relatively light compared to the rest of the mower, and this deck will actually just skip. So you'll actually have, if you're going fast over it and you hit a bump or like a pothole, if you will, the mower will effectively force the deck to bounce. And you know, the hydraulics aren't forcing the deck down, they're just laying it down on the ground, and as it, you know, it meets the contour of the ground and then it keeps it. But if you hit a bump at high speed, first of all, it does some damage to your spine because you feel it. There isn't, I mean, even though the seat's padded, there isn't like air suspension in this thing. So when you hit it, you know you hit it, and you feel it going all the way up in between your shoulder blades. So today I slowed it down. You guys probably saw that in the footage. I wasn't racing around the yard as I normally would. So in fact, I may just do that. That might be my new standard operating procedure when it comes to this thing. Just drop it into the turtle and let the turtle do its job, because you know, I still had to go over certain areas again that I missed or, you know, didn't see because the sun was in my face. But it is what it is, I think. What do you think, Kubo? Did a good job, didn't you? I'm gonna back him up in here after he drip dries a little bit. And it's very warm out here. I want to say it's about 78 or so degrees. There is a breeze right now, so he'll dry off pretty quickly. and then I'll back them in. But I think I'm gonna leave the video off there. I just feel like I need to rest. I took a long break, so like I said, about maybe 2.5, 3 hours after the clip stopped. That when I pulled the camera off the mower to when I started this one, about maybe 2.5, I don't know, hours have gone by. So I ate my dinner, I rested a little bit, I spent some time with my wife and son, and then I also I showered and I just rested a little bit because I was covered in grass, and the weed whacker really did me in. I got 2 what looked like bullet holes, one on my left shin and another one on my right shin from rocks that got picked up. And I should probably get some shin guards when I'm doing weed whacking, at least. Also, I think that wearing glasses, I do wear glasses, but I don't typically wear them when it's super bright out. I don't need to. At night, everything gets fuzzy, so it's really my time to wear glasses. But if I'm not reading or if I'm not doing anything, then I don't put glasses on. But the point I was trying to make is that if you're riding a mower and there's some dust or something, or a breeze comes by and it picks up some of the clippings and it blows it back on you, like it was happening over there on the south side of my property. Some of the breeze came from the south side of the house down the hill, and then picked up all the clippings that were coming out from under the guard, and literally it just flew back. One of them got me in the eye, and it wasn't bad. I just rubbed the leaf or whatever it was, the grass blade out of my eye, and it was fine. But that just, there's a couple of safety things that I keep neglecting, and I definitely need to wear either sunglasses or something when I'm riding the mower, especially in the sun. The problem with that is I end up having raccoon eyes because I tan really easily, and my face gets super dark, and then I have these 2 super like white areas around my eyeballs that are literally like raccoon eyes. Also, if it's really hot and I'm sweating, then everything sticks to it because the glasses get wet and whatnot. So I try to just balance it out. But as with anything, use your head. You'll be all right. With the weed whacking, I might have to get some shin guards. Something that's a little bit thicker that can handle a rock or a pebble hitting it at God knows what speed. Probably terminal velocity, I would say. I would say about 120 miles or so per hour. I don't know, because it was really, really hard, like, ow, and then I was bleeding for a while. So it didn't sink in, like it didn't stay in. It wasn't like a bullet, but it still left a mark. So, and then I think hearing protection might still be a consideration. It's funny because the first 2 or 3 times that I mowed this very property with this very mower, my Apple Watch was registering, high volume, like your environment is really loud and noisy. I recently got this watch, and it no longer has that same, either the same sensitivity or it has a different calibration when it comes to your environmental sounds. And I actually feel like this one's more accurate, and here's the reason for that. The old one, if I would go through a noisy store, like just people talking, or like music on in the background and shopping carts or whatever, like a Costco, let's say, my watch would tell me, hey, your environment's excessive. And that's simply not the case. I mean, Costco's not Woodstock, and it's definitely not Coachella, but it still used to tell me like, hey, you need to cover your ears or something. And I just didn't feel that like right at all. And with that same watch, when I rode this, every time I turn it on, it would be like immediately like, brrr, it's too loud, it's too loud, it's too loud. And I never felt that that was the case. Now, I don't have a you know, I don't have a sound meter, you know, where I can get a reading in decibels exactly what the output of this engine is. Although I believe that in one of the videos that I shot when I took delivery of Kubo, I think I may have actually mentioned what the level of sound output is from this engine as it's in operation. Not when it's idle, but when it's actually, when the PTO is on and the blades are spinning, because it's significantly louder with the blades on than it is the engine itself, which makes sense. I don't know. I feel like I'm yapping, so I am going to call it a night there. I'm going to go back inside. I'm going to cut this video together for you guys, and then enjoy my Saturday and Sunday. Tomorrow's a special day. Tomorrow is my 12th wedding anniversary. So Saturday, March 25th, is our anniversary, and I don't know if I'm going to shoot anything. So don't wait up, guys. Sorry. But I should have something for you guys on Sunday again. So until then, on behalf of the entire family, my wife, my son, Edward, my dog, Duchess, who did not come out here to see me today because she doesn't like Kubo at all, too noisy for her. And then also including Kubo, the Bolt EUV, and the RAV4 over there, on behalf of all of us, I wish you to have a pleasant remainder of your weekend. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, stopping by and spending the day with us. Really appreciate it. You guys are awesome. Take care. Bye-bye. All right, Kubo. Let's get you to bed. But Daddy, my hair is still wet. I know, kiddo, but you still gotta go to bed. All right, buddy. Let's get you tucked in here. All right, PTO brakes on. Good. Garage door will clear. All right. I think we're all ready for the rain tomorrow. Yay, more rain. Actually, don't let me fool you. I love the rain. Bye.